General Medicaid warning. The views expressed in 5-ish-minute lore, the lore delivered in rants, are sanctioned by their scholar Progenium as excess rageous. Prolonged exposure can result in loss of IQ, high blood pressure, random outbursts, and blunt force trauma to the skull, resulting in unconsciousness. Please consult your local physician for more information.
Lucius the Eternal. Oh, you thought you were going to leave this battlefield without being molested?
Well, I've got news for you, pal.
Lucius the Eternal story is 40K's idea of a sweeping tale of romance because there isn't a single character that adores themselves as much as he does. Every character has a backstory, usually with a singular defining moment that set them down the path that they would be. Lucius has a backstory too, and it's long as shit. Here we go. One day, Lucius was born an asshole. The end. No beatings as a kid, no mean words, no nothing. Lucius was born with a silver spoon stuck up his ass and was told from the first time he took a piss that he was better than everyone around him and needed to spend the rest of his life in a never-ending dick-measuring contest with the universe. Joffrey Baratheon will be downright likable next to this little prick, who spent his days training with a sword and intentionally scarring his sparring partners, and then he spent his nights sneaking out to murder hobos after claiming they attacked him. Lucius's mom and dad were downright tier, because when your kid goes out 50 nights in a row and gets attacked 50 times in a row, and you can't do the math that your son is a sociopath, not even Dr. Phil is gonna do shit for it. Sure enough, he pissed off enough people in his hometown that a full-blown riot happened when he was in a tournament, and the only thing that saved him was some unnamed dumbass sergeant in the Emperor's Children. At that point, Lucius became a space marine and started a career of shoving his perfect nose right up the ass crack of anybody who outranked him while demanding the praise and adulation of everyone his rank or below. The sheer unrelenting amount of ego that came from him as a space marine could have been used to power a Forge War with all the revisionist history that came with it. If he had been in any other legion, this pissant attitude would have been slapped out of him. But considering the Emperor's Children jerked off perfection like the Ironworkers did to a body count, he was only elevated. He was eventually promoted to captain, mainly because his previous captain died and the 3rd Legion preferred looking pretty and being really good at something over literally anything else. Note that he would probably have been given the rank of captain if he was a good sculptor or some other nonsense. That's how deep it went with the Emperor's Children. Once he was given command of the 13th Company, his ego went from mind-numbing to all-encompassing, but that same ego was so fragile, all it took was somebody literally not sucking him off to make him sulk. Unlike most of the Emperor's Children that wound up thinking that copious amounts of drugs, wincest, and literally being Dr. Frankfurter from Rocky Horror Picture Show was the best thing ever,
Dr. Scott! Janet! Brad! Rucker! Janet! Dr. Scott! Janet! Brad! Rucker!
Lucius did not go into the Lair Temple where Fulgrim started on the rather short path to becoming a complete deviant. Instead, his path to pure what-the-fucksville started when he dueled Garviel Loken of the Lunar Wolves. Lucius had been gently mocked for being a real pretty boy, and when Garviel won the duel by punching him in the face and breaking his nose, Lucius didn't know how to feel. It was then he met a woman who spent her time fucking people, killing them, cutting herself, and making pretty paintings with all the colors. In all honesty, her paintings generally made Space Marines who were actually sane almost vomit, but apparently they just don't like art or some shit. She taught him the time-honored tradition and magical art of making his face look like a tic-tac-toe board, which he thought was just frickin' dandy. In all reality, he started cutting himself so he could remember worthy opponents that he had fought, but that's bullshit because he was a Space Marine and they just don't forget shit. In truth, Lucius was just like any other rich, spoiled, egotistical brat that gets hurt for the first time, likes it, and then starts dropping 10 grand a week for a woman named Bunny to kick him in the jewels and call him a bitch. He was a closeted masochist who didn't have anybody that could hurt him, so he just started doing it himself. After the initial stages of the Horus Heresy, he finally found somebody who could challenge him in the form of Nian Shadow Qian, a Raven Guard legionary. Lucius was all excited, getting hot and bothered until he got stabbed about 20 times. The arrogant bastard even tried to give some grand speech with his death, but he got cut off by the blades in his lungs. The biggest insult was that Nian Qian told Lucius he got no pleasure out of killing him, which basically for Lucius equated to getting pity-fucked and kicked out of a car next to a lamppost. Somehow, Fabius Baal, another fuck-witted shit-gibbon in the 3rd, revived him. We don't know, we don't want to know, just don't ask. He kept fighting and getting off to cutting himself so much that Slash took about 3 seconds from the ongoing orgy to look at him with pride. Lord Commander Sirius of the Emperor's Children decided to put Lucius down, and in fact did, but by this time Lucius was fully out of the closet as a masochist and giggled every time he got cut by Sirius until Sirius finally Hulkamania leg dropped him into the dirt until there was only a red paste. Then Slaanesh gave this weird bastard the most OP please nerf ability he could think of. Anyone who takes the slightest bit of satisfaction in an action that kills Lucius becomes Lucius, and their soul is trapped in Lucius's armor, becoming faces that scream eternally. That power is so incredibly over-the-top bullshit it beggars belief. So the silly bastard can't die, and he knows it, and now Lucius has been going around for 10 millennia cutting himself to get his jollies off while trying to fight people with a sword. On a scale of 0 to 10 in the fucked up department, Lucius is a 15. And if you've got a guy in front of you that can't die and gets stabbed for a pleasant tingle in his leg, just imagine what this asshole does when he's bored.